Now, a conversation with Western Massachusetts' own resident NASA astronaut, Cady Coleman. We sat down recently to talk about our own time in space, more than 6 months, the plans for a possible mission to Mars, and the future of the American space program.
It depends on the kind of propulsion that you talk about, how long it would take, but we're certainly talking months, to get to Mars. And so in order to prepare for that, we are, having destinations that are closer to home. Going to the moon, going to an asteroid. People say, well, haven't we already been to the moon? Why go back? Well, there's so many things that we can learn about spaceflight, and actually that we need to learn. Both in those destinations that are beyond low Earth orbit, but still pretty close, but also in low Earth orbit itself. If my fist is the Earth, then we're actually quite close to the Earth on that International Space Station. And it is a national laboratory where we are doing experiments every day in all sorts of different kinds of disciplines, basic research like combustion, fluid physics, material science, but also for technology. Because like, for example, the water recycling system that we use, the air recycling system that we use, they break more than once a month. And I don't know about you, but that's not the horse that I want to take to Mars. And it's not because stupid people designed them or they were designed poorly. It's because there's a lot of lessons to learn about how things work in low Earth orbit. And so we are learning those lessons. That International Space Station is a giant test bed. And that's another reason why, Scott's participation up there for so long and having a really steady record up there can be so important. But we're learning those technology lessons on that space station and also down here. And I guess I always like to bring it back to Earth because it's where most of the people I know live, right? And all the things that we're trying to do for closed loop water, closed loop air, how could we live on Mars, how could we grow plants there, all those lessons are, if you had a sustainability expert sitting in this chair, they would be talking to you about that the same things were important to them. How do I recycle water when I don't have enough? How do I have a source of clean water? How do I recycle air? How do I grow plants in a place where there's not a sort of traditional growing ground? Even with everything from a desert on another continent to vertical farming in a city. Some of the things that we need to know from Mars, learning about how can we use energy just for the wavelength of light that we need to grow plants? Well, it's valuable for vertical farming in our cities. So I like this connection between exploration technology and our needs right here on Earth for a sustainable planet.
I know you spent 2 trips on the shuttle, 6 months on the International Space Station. Astronaut Scott Kelly is coming back after almost a year, 11 months and some days, just about double the time you were there. Remembering, imagining your own experience times 2, what's it like to literally, come back down to Earth after that much time in space, that much time weightless?
Well, first of all, I'll go on the record and say that most of us are just insanely jealous of Scott. That I remember being, scheduled to come home after 6 months and wishing so much so that I could stay another 6. And it's not just in my imagination. I just specifically remember this moment because it takes a long time to get good at the things that we do up there, the different experiments, and just efficient and just working in zero gravity when everything floats around. And it's really clear when you're up there how important the work is, and that every minute that you can get more work done is going to be important to everybody down here on Earth. And so you really want to stay longer and do that.
I remember in the earlier days of the space program, when they were first going for longer flights, I think it was a Gemini flight that was going to be 2 weeks. And I remember one of the NASA doctors at that time talking on TV about things they were worried about: calcium depletion in bones, blood pooling in the extremities because of no gravity, muscle atrophy, and even the increased exposure to radiation. This was going to be 2 weeks. The testing and the examining of astronaut Scott Kelly that's going to be going on for weeks, months, years, as you say, really is going to be something, isn't it?
Well, and actually, rightly so, we all go through it. And because it's such valuable information. I like to tell people that I get a physical, once a year for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. And every time one of us has something taken out, everybody wants to see it, right? But in a more serious way, everything that you mentioned, there's kind of a glass half full and a glass half empty way to think about them. bone loss. I mean, none of us want to have bone loss. And at the same time, when we are up there in space, we lose bone 10 times faster than a woman who has osteoporosis who is 70 years old. So what she loses in a year, somebody like myself or Scott loses in a month, if we don't do something about it. And so we're testing out countermeasures like exercise and diet and vitamins and drugs, different things. And because, I mean, so the bad news is that it happens very quickly to us. The good news is that because it happens so quickly, we can take blood and urine and all those kinds of samples. And also, even though there are few of us in the numbers, we say the number N, meaning N people, 15 people, 30 people, 500 people. Those numbers are all still very small when it comes to medical studies, but they're a little bit more significant than usual because we all have sort of this very even, uneventful medical history that makes us a nice baseline and easier to study than, for example, a population of 70-year-olds with osteoporosis. So there's a lot of Earth benefits that I'm quite proud of being part of, even though our primary goal is actually to understand what happens to people for the longer journey to go further out into the solar system and onto Mars.
We all think of you as our Western Mass neighbor. You're in a new assignment now. You're at NASA headquarters, D.C. What can you tell us about what Cady Coleman's doing now for NASA?
I'm working for the chief technologist there, and it's a marvelous, amazing job. It has a lot to do with keeping an eye on technology and understanding, actually, how to connect the people that we need around the planet, which often is the people who are innovative, those small companies that and interesting people, many of them young, that have great ideas. We're a big government organization. And so in the Chief Technologist Office, we have prizes and challenges. How do we actually get that innovation to Mars? How do we get it for ourselves and for other government agencies? So things like prizes and challenges and innovation and crowdsourcing of data, or just using the people on the planet. So I'm working in all those things that involve technology, they involve people, but I also spend a lot of time helping communicate between the NASA headquarters and the more operational space station, just trying to explain really what's going on and what it's like.
If all things were equal, if it happened sooner or at a better time frame, you'd love to make that trip to Mars if you could, wouldn't you?
Oh, I would go in a minute, and I would go back up to that space station just to do some of the day-to-day work that needs done.
Astronaut Cady Coleman, thanks so much. Good to have you with us as always. Thanks for coming by.
Well, I love coming here, you know that.